One of the worst things that can happen when you have sewn up a completed plushie and go to showcase your beautiful artwork is to look and see that one of the safety eyes has popped out. Um, I'm S. Maxine Fisher, an author, fiber artist, and plushie maker, and I am here today to show you the process of doing surgery on a plushie. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome, and for those who are returning, welcome back. I'm S. Maxine Fisher, an author, fiber artist, and queer parent of one. Right now I am working on some plushies that I have crocheted, and I'm going to show you my process in repairing a plushie that has a damaged safety eye. So we are going to do surgery on a completed plushie, and I'm going to take you along for the ride. This is a totally new process to me. I've looked for some advice within the crochet community. I wish that this is something that I could show you that I'm an expert at, but instead I'm going to take you along for the journey figuring out how to repair these two plushies. So let me show you what I have here. These are two snugglers that I created. I don't normally do licensed characters. As you can tell, they're Pokemon inspired, but these were a gift for someone that I care about. And unfortunately, after a few months of what turned out to be some rough play, they developed an issue with the safety eyes, and I'll show you up close with this Mew. As you can see, it was first noticed that one eye was sticking out while the other is properly sunk into the plushie. I took a look at it and started probing around and felt something sharp, and that's when my heart sank, because it looks like the sinker eye backing that it was holding this eye in has completely broken apart. I made these plushies and I'm kind of blaming myself because it was when I was new to installing sinker eyes, and I know I was really rough on them and maybe too aggressive with how much I pushed them down. But yeah, I'm going to work on repairing these two. I feel like I'm going to start with Mew first because Mew is pretty straightforward. It's a snuggler, so it's just got a flat seam right here, and you can actually see the bottom of the head. So I'm gonna see if maybe I can try to cut the back of the head open, and then I'll just have to crochet a few rounds to repair it. This one I'll do second because Evie is a little bit more complicated. Evie has these little frills that are sewn around the edge of the completed plushie. So it's going to be a lot harder to access that entry point. So I'm going to have to either remove the body and try to very carefully cut the seam from the body and enter in that way, or I might just try to go in through the back of the head. I'm really leaning toward just cutting open the back of the head because I think that'll be easiest to access the safety eyes, but we'll see. This one has the eye on this side that popped out, and I can feel that the backing cracked on this one as well. So let's see what happens. So here's what I'm starting with. I have my two snugglers. I've got some small craft scissors, a couple different types of tapestry needles. I've got a small one and a large one, a stuffing tool, even a little knitting needle to be able to affix the head if I need to reposition it. And let's just dive into it. All right, I'm just going to go in blind and cut this thread and hope for the best. I think, I can't tell. I think these are some threads that are holding the body on. If not, I might have to repair the part of the body. I don't want to cut the crochet. All right, separating a little bit. I might have gotten something. Which way does the seam go? Okay, there comes something. All right, here she is. All right, all right, all right. Thank you, Mew. Like, I see people who made a mistake on a plushie and like cut a whole piece off, and I can't bring myself to do that. I don't know why. There we go. All right. All right, Mew, sorry about all that. I'm just going to take this thread and kind of tuck it inside the body rather than cutting it, because I don't want something to unravel. I'm just going to run it through these stitches here. There we go. All right, now let's see the damage. One thing I don't want to do is cut too much of this. I really just want to open up the bottom, kind of unstuff enough to remove this eye. All right, so just to recap, what I did was I cut the plushie off the body, and after I cut it off, I just started poking around in the center until I found the threads where I'd woven the end in. I clipped those and pulled and ripped back about 2 rounds. So I've marked the stitches here where the round began, and I've put another stitch marker through the loop so it doesn't unravel. So now we've got the plushie head opened up from the bottom, and I'm gonna poke my finger in here very gently and see if I can remove the pieces of the safety eye backing that fell apart. So I've got a pair of tweezers. You can probably just use your fingers. Here's the offender. All right, it looks like this all came out in one piece, and it does look like this cracked from the center out, which kind of confirms my theory that I was way too aggressive in smashing this in when I inserted the safety eye. I also do want to see if I can source some better safety eye backings, because these aren't probably the best quality that I've found. I did change suppliers recently, and hopefully those backings are, they feel like a much better quality. So hopefully I don't have any more of these issues. All right, so I'm gonna reposition the safety eye right where it was. Got some little fluff on Mia's face. And I'm just gonna scooch it in there. All right, so I've got another 25mm safety eye back, and I'm just gonna slide that on in here, flush with the crochet. I probably shouldn't have repositioned the eye yet. So let me slide this in to be under where I want the eye to sit. And hopefully there's no stuffing, and I was pretty careful not to get any stuffing between the eye backing and the crochet. So it's just sitting right here, and I can still see that hole. So I'm going to scooch this post down in here. And now here is how I do like to insert my eyes. So if you don't have a safety eye jig, I just use the end of one of these multi screwdrivers, and it's the kind that pops out of the handle. I am going to use the larger end up here, which fits nicely around the post of my safety eye. So I'm going to take out the screwdriver rather, and I'm going to again insert it. I'm pushing the stuffing down and inserting it between the crochet and the eye. I'm gonna poke around here till I can see the back of my eye. I don't know if you can see it, the little black post. And I'm just gonna, with finger pressure first, making sure that this is positioned the angle I want it so it doesn't get wonky looking. Let's see, up like that. All right, and with my 2 thumbs, I'm gonna gently press down on the back. I've got the post of the eye is between my 2 thumbs, and I'm just gonna press down until I hear a little pop. Now I pressed it in part of the way. You can see this eye is sunk a little deeper, and I do want that to sit nicely, but I'm gonna be very gentle this time and not pop that backing. So I'm gonna sit it as flat down on my mouse pad, and the hex nut that would normally hold this screwdriver bit is around the post of the eye. So it's pushing down only on the plastic of the eye backing. And I'm just gonna grab it with both fists and push down. So wait, and I felt a pop. There we go. And I'm not gonna jam it any farther like the last time. All right, so I have successfully replaced the sinker eye. And I'm just gonna massage the stuffing back to where it was. If you really damage the stuffing job in the process, you might want to put more fiberfill. I am gonna put a little piece right here where it's feeling kind of empty, just the way we compressed the filling. Okay, so Mew is almost done. Now that I've stuffed this to the desired quality, I am going to grab some more ballet pink, and I'm going to just crochet the 2 rounds again, close it up, and sew this head back onto the body. So Mew is all set. I'm going to put Mew into the recovery room in my little Plushie hospital. Now let's work on Evie. Let's see. It's Evie's left eye, and I'm going to start by gently popping this out. Oh man, these eyes are rough. I think this was the first set of sinker eyes that I actually made. I almost want to give Evie a new set of eyes, because look how gnarly this backing is. It's all crusty and rough. Yeah, this was the first pair of eyes that I ever made, let alone set. That's a shame. Okay. Well, do I want a new pair? Let's see. Honestly, the fur isn't damaged. The plushie itself isn't damaged, and I think it's going to be okay. I just want to check this other eye. Ooh, look, this is having the same issue. So yeah, this eye is going to come out too, because I can feel the backing on this one is cracked as well. All right, I was thinking of opening the back of the head, but since I have to replace both eyes, I think what I'm going to do is maybe give Evie a whole new set of eyes that are properly made and fresh backings. So I am going to do the same thing as I did to Mew. Instead of cutting the crochet, because I was thinking about doing that, but that's going to be so hard to sew up and have it look nice and flush and even. So I am going to very carefully pick out these stitches and remove the body from the head and do it that way. We're just going to have a smaller opening to work with because we do have these frills sewn on here. All right, so here we go. Here we go. I can feel the edges of those sewing threads. This one's coming off a lot easier. I think this was just sewn on more in a more uniform fashion than Mew, which helps when you have to undo that stitching. All right. One trick with finding the stitching is that once I have these little white threads visible, it is helping to just kind of stretch and jimmy the plushie and see where I see more white thread visible. I've been kind of pulling the fluff off them as I go. These are the center threads that hold the chenille together. All right, where does this one go? If all else fails, just kind of pull on the thread and see if you see the motion, you know, where you're tugging. Here we go. Okay, I pulled that thread all the way out. I think this is part of the crochet. I don't want to cut that. All right, let's flip Evie over. Okay, here's some sewing threads in the center. I'm just going to cut the central ones because it's easier than to try to find the end where there could be a knot. I really hope I'm not cutting the crochet here. That's always what I worry about. All right, I got this. We got this. We got this. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, dang. Okay, yeah, that is a sewing thread. That's not the crochet I cut. Phew. Okay, I'm recording. It's okay, I'll cut this part out. Thank you. And I do have the baby monitor. Can I ask you to put this on the other side of the room where I can hear it, but it's not right under my camera?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I came to this part that's really weird. I think this might be the top level of the crochet. So I think maybe I did cut the crochet and not the sewing thread. I don't know what I did, but let me cut it really, really close to the center and hope for the best. There we go. I might have to do some surgery on this body too. Yep, look at that. I think I cut the top edge of Evie's body by accident. That's okay. We'll figure this out together. Yeah, look at that. Okay. So this one didn't come off as cleanly. There's like one round. I see what I did. This was closed up with one row of half double crochet, and I cut it right here. So I'm gonna have to just pick out these threads, and I think I'm gonna half double crochet all the way across the top and the legs real carefully. I might just enclose what's here and try to not disrupt the fabric too much. We'll see. I'm just gonna cut this off kind of cleanly. And clip these guys. There we go. All right, I'm gonna set that body to one side. That's gonna need a little more assistance. And let's take a look at the head now. All right, Evie, where did I start you? Or where did I finish you? All right, I'm gonna try cutting this stitch here real quick. Ooh, I think I struck gold, folks, because I found the knotted starting thread in here somewhere. I don't want to mess with the white threads because that's what I use to sew the fluff, the little frills on. There we go. All right. What's this? Is this the start of my round? Be nice if it was. Let's see, I think I might have enough of an opening that I can go in there and retrieve those backings without any more. So let's try this. We're going to do some minimally invasive surgery on this one. So I'm going to insert my forceps, pushing it along the fabric, and I'm going to try to get it between the fabric and the stuffing here. Let me try it with my finger first. That might be smarter. Just going to push the stuffing away from the crochet until I can feel the back. All right, here we go. If I can get my forceps to open up, that'd be a good day. Okay, now it failed. Let's try this again. All the threads in the back from sewing these little frills on is making it really difficult, but I feel the backing. I'm just trying to kind of roll it on out. Here she is. Yep. And there's that cracked backing. All right. And let's see if I can jimmy this other one out. I think I'm going to pull the eye out first. Yep, now that whole back just fell apart. And look at that. I think I used a glue or something here and it stuck to the fabric. That's not good. Yeah, that was not the quality of eyes that I would produce today. Like I said, that was my first pair of eyes, and I don't think I even used resin. At this point, I was using either nail polish or super glue. And here's the split back. Yeah, it's even kind of flattened because I was so aggressive with the hex nut. All right, so we are going to give Evie a fresh set of eyes. I'm going to go through my stash and see what I have and see if there's something more appropriate, or maybe I'll make a nice pair. So I'll see you guys back in a few. All right, everyone, here are the new safety eyes. Look at that shimmer. I tell you, practice really makes perfect, and I've been doing these for a while now since I made that ugly, gnarly pair of eyes. This is with the champagne chameleon powder that's like red and gold and green hues. I can even see a little hint of green as I turn this around. So these really came out fantastic. I'm going to set them to one side and take the two safety eye backings as we complete our plushie surgery. So here's the Evie head. I'm going to turn it over, and this is the raggedy opening where we're going to perform our minimally invasive procedure. I'm going to stick my hand into there, all the way to where the eye was, and I don't want to lose sight of that hole where the eye originally sat. And then we're going to insert this backing with the edges flush up against the crochet. You don't want to get any polyfill between the backing and the fabric. All right, I hope you can see I've seated that right over the original eye hole. And I'm just gonna pop the eyes in, and I have them facing downward, but I think I want them facing up this time around because I think that's kind of cuter. I'm just gonna kind of jimmy that eye into place and leave it. Now let's get the other backing on. I probably could have done both backings at once, but I didn't. Softly jimmy that in. All right. So now we have these eyes kind of sitting buggy. This one's easier, so I'm going to try to get my two fingers in. So I'm inserting two fingers up here, and I'm trying to, and I slide them until I can feel the round back. So I'm grabbing this with my thumb and my two fingers against the back behind, and I'm just going to press down gently until I feel a pop, if I can do that. There we go. Okay, so I got the first rung down with just finger pressure. I'm gonna do the same over here. Get my fingers in and pop it in. All right. And that, I definitely want these in more securely, but already look how beautiful. Look how nice those eyes look. So much better than before. So now I'm going to take my screwdriver, and again I have the screwdriver bit removed, so all you have is this hex wrench, and the post to the safety eye is going to go down that hole, ideally. There we go. I don't want to break it again. That's one thing I don't want to do. I didn't feel the pop, but I can, okay, now I can feel the second rung back there. Look at that. Oh, that's so nice. It's so pretty. I love it. All right, let me focus and do the second eye. So I think this phase of our enterprise is done. Now, let's close up the damage we created. I'm going to go back and start with Mew because I think Mew is going to be easier, and then we're going to work on Evie again. All right, folks, now we're back to Mew. I just want to double check, humor me, make sure both these eyes are not cracked, because when I did Evie, the second eye was also cracking. No, these look good. All right, this looks really good. Okay, so we have Mew's head. I am going to take my 5mm crochet hook, and I'm going to crochet these 2 rounds. So I'm going to attach new thread, nice fresh chenille, and do that. I'm going to leave this yarn tail because then I'll have something to tie my other yarn to when I sew the body back on. So I'm going to take a fresh piece of yarn to sew the body. I'm not going to use the same one that I used to cinch the head because it's already just a little bit starting to fall apart. And Parfait Chunky can be very fragile. It looks even from this side, so that makes me happy. Good enough. All right, folks, here is the finished product. Here is Mew. Oh my goodness, Mew looks so much better. His eyes are sitting in a good position. No cracks, no breaks. I love those blue eyes with the candy colored yarn. It's so pretty. All right, the ballet pink. All right, so here we have the finished Mew. He is as good as new and possibly better. Now it's time to work on Evie. Evie needs a little help because Evie had a little bit more complications from surgery. So you can see the top edge of the body got damaged when I cut some of the stitches because I really took a gamble on those stitches. And some of them were not sewing stitches, they were part of the crochet. So we're gonna have to help the head along and the body. The head also is going to be a little tricky. So unlike with Mew, I'm not going to crochet directly around this round because it's all raggedy. I am going to use a smaller hook. So the original hook I used was 5mm. So here I have a 4mm hook that I'm going to use to pick up some stitches and crochet around here. I'm really fortunate I still have some of this acorn yarn. I don't think that Premier is bringing this back anytime soon, but I do have a nice little remnant here. This is why I keep all those baby skeins, guys. I'm such a yarn hoarder, but when it comes to something like this, then I have it. Again, we're figuring out this in real time. I've never actually done this before, guys. Let's see what I have to crochet with. First of all, I want to secure this loop because this is scaring me a little. You know what? We're going to use our fresh yarn to secure this loop. That's what we're going to do. Tie this right down. I'm going in with my hook, pulling the tail end through the undamaged fabric. I'm going to tie that loop right down. Not going anywhere. All right, let me tuck that end in and we're going to get started. So I stick my hook in under this round. So I am going in the tops of the stitches from the previous round. I am going to guess at how many decreases I need and go from there. So I'm pulling up a loop, chain 1, and I'm just going to do decreases all the way around. That's what I'm going to do as many as I need. So again, I'm going into the tops of the stitches from the previous round and just crocheting around whatever damaged round is here. I could try to pull this out, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be worth my time. So we're going to just crochet right over it. All this raggedy stuff is going to be on the inside of the plushie. That's 2 decreases. Find my next stitch. 1, 2. Part of the reason I don't want to pull all this raggedy stuff out is that some of it may be attached to the frills, and I don't want to disrupt where they're sewn in and have to redo the frills because that would really stink. How many decreases? You know what? I'm not going to stop counting. I'm just going to make this look good. I think this is 5. 6. And this particular plushie was crocheted with a base of 7 in a magic ring. So we're going to go for 7 decreases. And that should do it. You can still see some of those loops from the raggedy part just popping out, and I'm just going to keep them in there. Oh wait, no, here's my starting stitch. All right, this is where I started just now. I'm going to pull up that last loop through and decrease. All right. I'm going to clip my yarn. And before I sew this up, I'm just going to slide a little bit more polyfill into that hole. Just to make sure all those fuzzies kind of stay put in there. There we go. To look at it from here, you would never know that it had all that damage. Add a little bit more polyfill because we crocheted right over it. some extra stitches here. Yeah, this yarn is all falling apart, so I definitely don't want to reuse this for sewing the body on. We're going to use a fresh piece. All right. Poor Evie's face got a little beat up as we were doing that, but we're going to just carefully poke that raggedy yarn tail in, and you'll never see it again. There we go. And there's the head, and it's all closed up nicely. Okay, so I think I'm going to do something similar to what I did with the head here. Since I have this raggedy row, I could just cut it off, but this is where my arms attached. So I think I'm going to do the exact same thing I did and crochet around it. Let me start over here. Now I want to anchor my yarn into good fabric. And I think I'm going to make the top in single crochet. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep with the pattern. It's going to look like this plushie was never opened up and messed with. So again, I'm basically crocheting down into the tops of the stitches below this round. And this is actually going into part of the arm. This is going to need a little cleanup in the back, but that's basically done. All right, now let me give this a nice, good-sized tail for sewing, because that's probably going to fall apart by the time I'm finished. There we go. That's where I want it. So let's start from behind. Just like Mew, I'm going to do the same across twice. Oh, this is going from right to left. Sweet. Alright, and we're just going to go all the way up through the head. Tug that yarn nice and snug. Thread it again. And just to make sure it's super secure, I'm just going to catch this one stitch and go back down through the plushie and all the way to the other side. That way that yarn tail is secured a couple times in the plushie and won't be coming out. And this looks better than new. Both those eyes aren't going anywhere. And Evie has a nice, fresh, professional looking set of eyes that replace the old ones. And I think the kid that this is for is going to be super happy with it. Well, folks, we had a successful, minimally invasive surgery on Evie to replace those eyes. If you like this video, thanks for watching. Just click that subscribe button so you can see more videos like this, and I will catch you in the next one. As always, have a fabulous day and stay creative. Bye. Oh my, you guys are not going to believe this. So I finally brought the 2 snugglers down. They were all finished up, and I passed this to my wife, and she took one look and she caught something I didn't, which was this. She's like, oh, are you gonna fix this little indentation there? And I put my finger in, and guess what? That's the safety eye backing. This is not the one that we replaced. This is the other one. So lesson learned, go with your gut. If your gut is telling you to make sure that you replace both the eyes, even if one hasn't visibly fallen out, just go ahead and do it. I really wish I had, but we are going to have to open you up a second time and have another surgery. But the good thing is, now that I know what I'm doing, hopefully it'll be faster. I think I'm also a little bit more uniform in the way I sewed this one on, so I'm hoping that it'll be an easier process. But here we go again. Wish me luck. Okay guys, this attempt was a lot easier than the last time. I feel like I have definitely improved in my sewing, because the sewing that held the plushie head on, it just came right open. It was super easy. So we got Mew off the body, and got the head off the body without any major damage. This time I only opened I only unraveled 3 decreases, because I feel like the bottom of the head is pretty good shape. And with the success that we had with Evie, I am confident that we can do kind of that minimally invasive procedure that we did with Evie, and it'll be fine. I apologize if you hear singing in the background. My wife is trying to put the baby to sleep for the 2nd time this afternoon. It seems to be in there really good and secure. Let's see. I mean, I don't even think that needs any additional convincing. I might just add some polyfill to round out the face. And once again, that wasn't the eye that we replaced that popped. It was just the other one that was also jammed in. And I remember like putting all my weight on that. So I really want to stress that I don't think it was the product itself. I think it was the user, because I was using a hammer on that. And you really shouldn't. Some of these backings are a little less sturdy than others. But just to be safe, because these did crack, I did start using a different product. I started using the U-Pins eyes, and I haven't run into that issue. And I do use my eyes on my own plushies. All right, folks, Mew is all set, all sewn up and ready for playtime again. If you like this video, please smash that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.